Ian, how are you?
Morning, Jeremy. Yeah, not so bad. Still plowing through the ESOS sort of requests, but yeah, well, today we're focusing on the British Industrial Competitiveness Scheme. We'll call that BICS.
So yes, I have heard of this. Can you just provide a very simplistic overview of this, please?
Yeah, so it originates from the industrial strategy that the government launched probably about a year ago. I think the objective here is to just protect UK manufacturing sector companies from leakage abroad due to too many non-commodity charges placed on the electricity price.
So this is about helping British manufacturers compete with their competition overseas, where electric is cheaper than it is here in the UK.
Yeah.
So how do we know? As you know, I do a lot of work with manufacturing clients. How do we know which manufacturers or manufacturing sectors are going to be eligible?
Okay, so the government have issued a list of standard industrial classification codes, so SIC codes, which obviously are available through a company's house. If you within an eligible SIC code, you then have to, the products that you manufacture have to meet certain commodity codes, and these are called HS6 codes. These are not in the public domain.
Yeah.
Probably only the manufacturer that knows about these.
Is this the only other is this the only criteria that manufacturers have to meet?
So in order to achieve your 25% reduction on electricity costs, there are 4 criteria. And these criteria, if you miss either one of them, you fail. So the first one is you need to register on company's house, which majority of companies are. The second one, you consume more than 33,000 kilowatt hours per year, which is quite a small supply, just probably about 3 carriage.
But I think that's good news, because it means we'll capture more companies.
Absolutely. The government have said there are up to 10,000 companies that are eligible for this 25% reduction on electricity costs.
So you've mentioned the 25% reduction. How does that manifest itself on the actual invoice for the manufacturer?
Yeah, so if you are 100% exempt, and we'll look at those criteria, you go for eligibility, then you look at your level of exemption. You will receive rebates on renewal obligation, feed-in tariff, and capacity market costs. And yeah, they will come off your bill directly, either as non-commodity costs, or your all-inclusive tariff will be reduced.
Right, I see. And just think again, you've said a lot of things there that interest me. As you know, I do a lot of work with manufacturing clients. Capacity charges is going to be the big one that they'll really notice. So how do we clearly demonstrate with the administrators what level of consumption is eligible for this? Because surely when I walk into a factory, you can't include the canteen electric consumption or the office's electric consumption. Surely it must just be the process. So how do we clearly identify factory consumption equals X, process consumption equals Y? How do we cross that bridge?
Yeah, so that's where we come in terms of analysing electrical infrastructure, because it is only for electricity and not gas. So starting off with the MPAN, and the supply code to the process, how does this map out through single line diagrams, looking at electrical infrastructure on site, sub-meters, if sub-meters aren't available, what is the capacity of the manufacturing process plant in terms of kilowatts, hour, how long is it estimated to be running throughout the year, you can then
Right,
detect the kilowatt hours.
however, if the individual processes are sub-metered, that would make this a lot easier. So, for example, I've got a aluminium extrusion client, and they've got 4 extrusion lines. If all of those lines are sub-metered, that would quantify as legible consumption, and the meter would quantify the level of annual consumption.
Correct. So you could do it through exemptions as well. So I've been thinking about, essentially, if I go into a site and you can see that 90% is through the process.
Yeah.
If I have sub-meters for ineligible activities, I can do them by exemptions, subtract them from supply.
Yeah, because I suppose the challenge here is, the challenge for us is to independently quantify the process consumption. And we know from experience, some manufacturers will have sub-metering and some won't. And that's where we can use our expertise to determine the level of process consumption. So how does, there must be some kind of scale, process consumption to total consumption. How does that work?
Yeah, so once you meet all the 4 company's house, 33,000 kilowatt hours, SIC and HS6, then what is the quantity of eligible consumption? So then if we determine that more than 50% is through the manufacturing process that's associated with the HS6 code, 100% of your electricity is exempt. If it's between 25 and 50% eligible electricity, 50% is exempt on your total invoice. Less than 25%, there are no exemptions.
Right. Okay. So I'm just thinking, for the large manufacturers, as long as we can clearly prove the level of process consumption, because in those large factories, process consumption is the majority of consumption, they will largely be 100% eligible for this. The smaller manufacturers that are doing smaller stuff where process consumption isn't as large, they might not be eligible for the full 100%, but may still get 50%. Okay, that brings me on to my final question. So if I was a manufacturing client, how do I get involved? What's the next steps I take?
Yeah, so what we need to be aware of is the time scale. So this scheme opens on the 1st of October 26, and the window closes at 30th of November 26. Right. Exemptions for feed-in tariff, renewable obligation and capacity markets start on the 1st of April 27.
Yeah.
When you start to receive your exemption on your invoices. However, the government have promised, if you meet this window, you'll get a full annual rebate equivalent to the 1st of April 26 to the end of March 27. So missing this window is a bit of a travesty for local industries if this happens.
Yeah.
You miss your lump sum and you miss getting these charges.
Right, so I'm just thinking, I've got some pretty large consumers that I work with. One in particular, I think, consumes 12 million kilowatt hours of electric a year. Now, just for ease of calculation, let's assume 10 million of those kilowatt hours are process. That would mean they're 100% eligible. 10 million at 20p, what's that? That's £2 million a year, and they can get 20, and this will equate to a 20% reduction.
25%. So yeah, it's
you're looking at a good £500,000. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This sounds very good indeed. Thanks for your time today, Ian. I look forward to working with you on this in the future.
So yeah, I mean, obviously we want to engage with companies about this, save some energy. Obviously, you're in the right hands. Both our consultancies aware of the scheme. Just urge you to get in touch. Not only because it's good for our business, but I mean the amount of money that will be lost by industry if this scheme isn't claimed. I mean, it's hard to sell because it seems too good to be true.
And also, as with so many other government schemes, perhaps more so with government funding, and a frustration I have is these schemes are always very poorly publicized. No one really knows about them. And then when we go to the client and say, "Are you aware of this?" They're like, "No."
Yeah.
And it's like, this could be a significant saving for you. We just need to fill in an application form and dance to their tune.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that, Jeremy. So yeah, thank you for today.
Sure.
We can pull a few companies in because if you snooze and you miss the 1st of October to 30th of November deadline, that's it for a year, and you miss your lump sum credit.
Okay. So if you're a manufacturing firm, please reach out. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, Jeremy. Thank you.
Cheers, Ian. Bye.
Bye.